Right. In this video, it is going to be more of a venting about a conversation I was having. But I am going to talk about how the left and the right are the same thing. It's just kind of mirror images of one another. So they look kind of like opposites, but they're not. Right? Kind of like looking in the mirror. You lift up your right hand, but your image is lifting up its left hand. It's still a reflection of you, but it looks different, right? And that's the left and the right. And that was something that was being revealed while talking to this fella, where he was able to see the schemes of the right, but he couldn't see the schemes of the left. An example is that he was saying that the right supports foreign foreign entities, and I was like, "Who?" He says, "Russia," and I was like, "How is the right supporting Russia?" And I was like, "Well, how come you can see that, but you can't see that the left supports China?" And he was just like, nope, no, that's not true or whatever. And I was like, so he's blinded to how the left is supporting foreign interest, but he can see how the right is supporting foreign interest when both sides are supporting foreign interest. Because the point of the conversation I was having with this fella had to do with silencing opposing views and censorship. Because I was saying that, no, I want there to be a 50-50 balance between the left and the right, because both want a dictatorship. The left is a communistic dictatorship, the right is a fascist dictatorship, yet both are dictatorships. And if either one of them got the upper hand, we would lose freedom. The only way we're going to keep some freedom that we have is if neither one of them has complete and total control. But they're both fighting for it, to have complete and total control. And since they're two hands of the same body, two wings of the same bird, it doesn't matter which side ends up getting on top. It really doesn't, because they're both ultimately the government. It's just kind of seeing which side the people want. You can choose if you want the government to be fascist or if you want to be communistic. Which side do you want? Because either way, the government's going to take complete control. You get to choose how it's going to do it, as a communist or as a fascist. Which one do you want? So what people do, instead of saying, whoa, 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 I don't want either one. Both is wrong. I want out of this. Instead, they go, hey, well, I agree more with this side, or I agree more with that side, so I'm going to pick a side. You got to pick the lesser of two evils. No, you don't. Both are evil. And if you pick a side, you're supporting the evil that it's saying, not just the good that you like about it. Just back away from the whole thing. Don't support it. It's ridiculous. It's a trick. I like this analogy that somebody gave of this illusion of choice, where the child has a favorite shirt, right? Let's say it's like the G.I. Joe's Transformers shirt, whatever the kids are into, right? They want to wear that shirt, but the parent wants them to wear like a plain color. So the mom comes in and goes, hey, I'm going to let you choose your shirt today, so there's no fighting. I'm not going to force you to wear a shirt you don't want to wear. So here's a blue shirt and here's a red shirt. Which one do you want to wear? And a lot of times that works. By psychological effect, the child will go, okay, well, I can choose. Well, I don't like either one, but I like the blue one better, or I like the red one better. And they end up choosing one of the shirts because, hey, well, I got a choice. Even though really they don't want either one. They want to wear their Naruto shirt, right? Or whatever it is. And that's how we are. We want freedom, right? We want America how it started out. Yet the government's like, nah, how about you get the choice between communist or fascist? Which one do you want? And you all of a sudden forget about what you really want and you look at which one's closest to how you really want it. Yeah, there's evil in both, but this one's less evil in my opinion. This one has more good in my opinion. I'm going to go with that one. Well, you just fell for one of the oldest tricks in the book that is pulled on children, that you might have even pulled on your child, and it's being pulled on you and you're just oblivious to it. But, yeah, so while talking to this fella, I was bringing up different points, and he couldn't see that his side was exactly like the other side, just differently. Like I said, oh, the right supporting Russia, well, the left supporting China. And just like he said, no, that's not true, that's a lie from the right. Well, the right says that they're not supporting Russia, it's a lie from the left. And then he would say that, oh, the right, they want to take away freedom, they want to be a dictatorship. Yeah, and the right says the left, they want to take away freedom, they want to be a dictatorship. They're both saying the same things, just in a different way. And they both want to be the dictator. You're just choosing the one that you want to dictate over other people. And the whole reason why this conversation got into this is because the person had a post about freedom when censoring the opposing view. Oh yeah, we're going to freedom. And it's like, how is it freedom to only have one view and no opposing views whatsoever? How is that freedom? And if you have an opposing view, like we see on social media, you are removed, banned, your comments or your videos removed, and all kinds of other ways to censor you. How is that freedom? It's not. And here's where we get to the venting part, because the conversation ended up getting into the weird things we see with men and women. Because we ended up talking about freedoms and supporting people's rights. And it was like, well, how are you supporting women if men can just call themselves women? They're not taking any injections. They don't remove their man bits, and they can go compete with women in their sports, and that's fair. And we were talking about how in these fighting uh, UFC fights, where they'll have a man who basically all he did was grow out his hair, and he fights a woman, and he ends up fracturing her skull. And this has happened more than once apparently. And his point of view was, oh well, they signed the contract, they agreed to this. It's like, yeah, they did. And you could see that just because the man called himself a woman, that didn't change anything, right? And I was like, so you would be fine with watching men take on women in all sports, UFC, boxing, wrestling, football, hockey, and other, physical engaging sports like that. And he said, yeah, if they agree to it. And that's where I had to basically just end the conversation, because I was like, what kind of a man would watch women get destroyed and roughed up by men? Oh, they agreed to it. I don't care. I don't care if a woman agrees to fight a man. I don't want to watch that. I don't want to watch her get destroyed just because she thought she could take on a man. I don't want to see an all women's football team take on an all men's football team. I don't want to watch that. But some people, it's like I talk to people about morals at times. And uh, I see people that they'll walk over people like they're a mat. And it's like, hey, why do you do that? Why are you treating them like that? They'd be like, well, they let me. They let me, and they got to learn not to let me do it. And I was like, okay, okay. Um, so yeah, I get that. They should toughen up and they should not let you do that. But I think that's weird because if somebody lets me walk over them like a mat, I don't enjoy doing that to them. I don't like it. I don't want to do that. And I encourage them, hey, stand up for yourself. Don't let people do that to you. And it's just strange that people are like, well, if they let me, hey, yeah, if this woman let me punch her in the face, I would do it. And it's like, why? Well, they let me. Whoa. So it just shows the mindset of some people. The morality is not there. They're just like, okay, somebody agreed to it. And it's like, okay, but could you understand that maybe they don't understand what they just agreed to? They don't understand really the consequences, and they don't really think that what is about to happen is actually going to happen. Like, there's women that actually think they could take on a man. They get into the ring, and then he fractures their skull because men have uh, denser bones and stronger muscles because the muscles depend on the strength of the bones. And he hits her, and her skull fractures. And normally you arrest a guy for that kind of thing, but they agreed to it, so all right, it's okay. And it's like, oh yeah, whatever. And it's like, how could you really get into the ring if you're a trained fighter as a man with a woman? Oh, well, she signed the contract, she agreed to it. So you feel comfortable beating on a woman just because she agreed to let you? You're sick. There's something wrong with you. And if you don't mind watching such a thing, there's something wrong with you too. Watching weak people getting beat up by stronger people. All while preaching for women's rights, women's liberty, all to get roughed up by men in their work. I liked this one point somebody made was what a message to give to all these young women that no matter what, they're going to be subservient to men and weaker than men in everything, even uh, being worse than men at being women. I didn't say that one too eloquently, but I think you get the point. These men getting rewards for being woman of the year and all this stuff. It's just like, oh well, men are even being better at being women than women are. Did you think this is weird that these women aren't joining men's sports, right? The women who are becoming men, how come they're not doing that? How come we don't see that influx of these women joining male sports? They're transgender. They're right. They became men. Why aren't they getting into all these men's fields? Why hasn't this woman won Man of the Year? That's kind of strange, right? I mean, they're just like real men. That's just weird. I mean, I thought it was weird when the person's like, well, you just haven't looked into all the facts about all this. And it was weird because this guy wrapped this video up with this weird thing. He was saying, before America, there were more than just two genders. I was like, what are you talking about? It's like, yeah, they used to have, uh, like, eunuchs. I was like, okay, eunuchs is not another gender. And he acted like they removed all their bits. And it was like, no, they neutered. They just removed the balls like they would do to a dog. And usually this was done by force. The people who went through this were not willing. They had to do that because either they were going to be guards of women in royal palaces and they didn't want them sleeping with the women, or they had some other office where they didn't want them to have testicles. And usually it had to do with not wanting them to pass on their line, such as if a country like Babylon conquered Israel and they neutered the royal family so that they couldn't reproduce, right? Cut out the competition. It had nothing to do with turning them into women. No one claimed that it made them women. So, yeah, I mean, the things that they just say is just weird. Doesn't make any sense. But, a lot of people online, they're just messing around and trolling for their own entertainment. They're usually high, out of their mind, so reality is just whatever wisp of cloud comes into their mind in that moment, and it's free to change, just like any other wisp. There's no solid foundation. So, what do you expect? But I just wanted to vent about that a little bit and get you to think about the left right is just trying to decide which dictatorship is going to rule, because America is going to turn into a dictatorship, and there's no way around that. And I think the left is doing what happened in Nazi Germany, where Nazi Germany went towards the left, and then it slingshotted over to the far right and became a fascist dictatorship. And the same thing looks like it's happening here, where the crazy stuff that I've been talking about from the left pushes you to the right. One of the things I was talking about with this fella had to do with being called a bigot and racist just because you're white. And it was like, that pushes people away, right? Because if there's people who are on the fence, or even if they're with the left, and they start getting called racist just because they're white, well, that's racist, and they want to get away from that. Like, they didn't do anything to anybody, but just because they're white, they're evil. So they start funneling towards the right because they're going to go someplace where they're not attacked just for the color of their skin. And then you're pushing all these people into the right. And it seems to be that's what's going on. Just kind of like a thunderstorm, where in the clouds and the earth builds up charges of positive and negative energy. And then lightning, thunder, and a storm's going on, right? And that's what's going on, is the energy's building up, and then it's going to shoot across to the other side, and there's going to be a big storm. And in the end, I think it's going to ultimately be this alt-right fascist dictatorship in America. It may break up into a civil war before that happens, but I think that's what's going to happen. Because I think this economy is going to collapse, and it's going to affect the whole world. The US dollar is going to lose its value. So they're just going to bring in a whole new system. It's most likely going to be some digital system, so that if you want your money, you're going to be plugged in, right? Which leads obviously to the mark of the beast. And yeah, with that being said, I'll just end it by saying that the left's utopia-like view would be nice, but man is naturally sinful and selfish. So you need certain regulations and motivations and deterrences to get people to behave in a, I guess, civilized manner, right? So you go to the left, that starts to be revealed, the degeneracy of how people are, and that slingshots you to the right, where it's a little more military, kind of controlled, disciplined, forcing you to do things for your own good, at least supposedly for your own good. But like we could see with this whole plan demic, got to split up the words there in case that's flagged and they'll take down the video, where uh, both sides, the left and the right, supported the snake bite. That they wanted you to get that snake bite, and I got to use code words because I can't say the real thing without getting flagged and taken down. But we see both sides supported it. You couldn't find a side that was against it. So you don't got any friends, the left or the right. You just got some that look friendlier than others, depending on your point of view and your beliefs. But either side is leading to you to the slaughter, like Judas goats. I guess I'll wrap the video up with that. Judas goat is kind of interesting. It's a goat they use to lead sheep because for some reason the sheep, they follow a leader, their herd mentality, and a goat is more on its own. It doesn't have that same kind of mentality. So the sheep will follow the goat, and they'll use the goat to lead the sheep to either the truck or to the slaughtering pens so that they go in without a fight, and then right when they're there and it's too late, they take the Judas goat out of the way as it betrayed the sheep, and then the sheep are led to the slaughter. The left and the right are Judas goats. It's just you pick which one you want to follow, but either one will lead you right to the slaughter. If they just had one Judas goat, people like me speaking out about it would wake people up. So they go, oh yeah, the left is a Judas goat. I'm going to follow the right. And then you're just following another Judas goat. So people over here, they go, oh, the right is a Judas goat. I'm going to follow the left. But that's a Judas goat. And it's a simple trick where they just added another Judas goat, but it works, right? Because if you tell the people on the right, hey, Trump is a Judas goat, well, I'm going to go to the left. You tell the left, oh, Biden, he's a Judas goat. Oh, I'm going to go to the right. No, they're both Judas goats. Don't go to either one. But what are you going to do? Thanks for watching. Take care.